The threat has grown. And since the threat has grown, we must do more to defend our territory. And so maybe perhaps that's what we people are seeing is that a more robust defense of our territorial rights as recognized by the international community through international law, through the UNCLOS. We hew very close to that. We do not leave very we have not instigated any kind of conflict. We have not instigated any kind of confrontation. We are just trying to feed our people. We are just hoping to let our fishermen fish and to go about our business within our EEZ and within our baselines. And so uh, the I would say that it is whatever increase in activity there is, no matter how you define it.
The
But
US has weighed in. It constantly points to Article 5 of the Mutual Defense Agreement, which was signed in 1951. It now says that it now extends to all armed conflicts, armed attacks in any area of the South China Sea. In practice, what exactly does that mean?
that's a incursion, for example, to occupy, which has already happened, but we're still trying to keep it peaceful. But you see, we are avoiding. We avoid, as I said, we think about peace in the national interest. It does not serve any purpose to heighten tensions. To say, okay, I am invoking now the Mutual Defense Treaty, and that I don't think anyone wants that, unless you've asked a very difficult question here. Unless the effects are such that it is a threat, it will become an existential threat to the country. Then I think it's very easy to say that would trigger the mutual defense treaty, the agreement between the United States and the Philippines.
How confident are you about US support? How far do you think the US would go to support the Philippines in the South China Sea?
Well, thus far, we can say that the United States has been certainly very supportive in every way, and it has the United States has really shown that it takes very seriously these agreements that we have, and so but it is dangerous for one to think in terms of when something goes wrong, we'll run to Big Brother. That's not the way we treat it at all. I say we do this for ourselves. We do this because we feel that we have to do it, and it's not at the behest of the United States.
Just to follow up on that, how confident are you the US is willing to go to war with China over a disputed reef in the South China Sea?
Oh God.
How far is the US prepared to go? What are your talks suggesting to you?
Well, I really we would to take that a step back from that question is that is precisely what we want to avoid. We want to do everything we possibly can together with our partners and allies to avoid that situation whatsoever. This is not the poking the bear, as it were. We are trying to do quite the opposite. We are trying to keep things at the manageable level, to continue the dialogues, whatever they are, at every level. And we have initiated many of those dialogues we have dialogues at the sub-ministerial level, at the ministerial level, and at the executive level. And so I think that's what we have to continue because it would there are many volatilities in the area, in the region.
Back in May, you talked about how Philippine military bases will not be used for offensives
No.
against China. Do you still maintain that position?
Yes, of course, of course. we have no interest in attacking anything or anyone. Uh, Not at all. That is the furthest thing from our mind. No, we would not allow that. Unless we're at war, perhaps. But that's why we want to keep away from that situation as much as we can for and maintain that. Maybe you could describe it as an uneasy peace, but it's peace nonetheless.
You're sitting on one of the fastest growing countries in Asia. Is that sustainable? Can you achieve 6.5 to 7.5% growth for the year, for instance?
I think so. I think well, much of the policies that we've taken on are really to spur growth. That is part of that's the most important part, because it is only growth that will pull us out of the morass that was left after the pandemic. And even in terms of even in terms of debt ratios, even in terms of unemployment, even in terms of inflation, it really is growth. That seems to be the key. Is it sustainable if we continue down this road? If we defend all of the things that we are doing, I believe it is. I believe it is. If we are also agile in terms of responding to the shocks that come up from the outside, to put it that way, shocks that we cannot control or can have very little influence over, if any. So that will be the key.
It's a 6-year term. Do you think you can get to 8% within the 6 years that you're in office?
Sure, why not? There's no. We always plan for the ideal. We don't plan for a mediocre result. We plan for a very good result. And as I said, we just have to adjust along the way as we continue to transform the economy. But yes, I think it is. I think it is doable.
Several banks are currently in focus because of interest rates. In the Philippines, rates are at, I think, 17-year highs. How much room is there for you to cut rates, or rather the BSP to cut rates?
We're still battling inflation. Inflation is still our biggest problem and when you separate core inflation to inflation that involves agri-products, for example, you can see that the core inflation, we're doing rather well in terms of controlling it. But again, these shocks that keep coming in.
But still not quite the time to cut rates because inflation is still sticky.
Perhaps we look at it almost every week to see if it's time to bring down the rates. We are not yet there.
And the peso at a 3-month high. Are you comfortable with
The
peso?
peso?
Peso at a 3-month high?
Yes, because it's an indication of the strength of the economy. There is a downside to it for the Philippines because of our overseas workers, where the dollar is worth a little less than it normally would be. But I see it as an affirmation that the economy has grown stronger, and that's one of those obvious tests. And the dollar, I mean, of course, because it's a relative measure. The dollar has not depreciated. So if the value of the peso is increasing, then that is a good indication that again the economy has gained strength.